Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. Today I'm going to be completing my stainless steel set of ball punches. And like the other video that I did making this ball punch from 3 inch or 75 mil by 1/2 inch, or in other words 12.5 mil material, I pretty much made this little block here, this little depression for this to fit in. And this is going to be a continualization of trying to make a rivet set for rivets like these for an upcoming project. And so you can see how that does there. This helps protect the rivet head from being deformed. So I need to make a smaller ball punch for a 1/4 inch round head rivet, or 6 mil. And I need to make one for a lot larger, which is 5/8 inch round head rivet, and or 15 mil, 15 or 16 mil. I'm not sure what that is. They're all going to be made by 3 inch long by 1/2 inch round diameter stainless steel. Or for you in the UK and across the world, it's 75 mil by 12.5 mil. Stainless steel. So the first step in this process, we're going to bring this out nice and hot, and this is going to be essentially the smaller of the 2 ball punches that I'm working on right here. We're going to forge this down, just a nice square taper, all the way down to approximately 1/4 inch. We may go just a hair under in dimensions, because when we grind it, it's going to grind back up and get a little fatter as we grind and refine the tip. So there you go, just a real simple taper from 1/2 inch or 12.5 down to 6 mil or 1/4 inch. So now we're going to go ahead and dress up the corners and take it to round here before long. So you can see me slowly start turning it now and turning this thing back round. This is not necessary, as the only thing that really does any of the shaping of the material is the very end, but I figured I'd put it back to round anyhow. It just helps. You could also knock some flats on this piece, so this way it sits and doesn't roll off the anvil. That might be a good idea to do. I didn't do it here. And there we go. That one's all done. We'll just let that air cool. Now I've switched to a little lighter hammer, a little rounding hammer that I have, and I'm going to upset the end of the other 1/2 inch piece of stainless steel that's 3 inches long, and I'm going to upset and dome over the head, much of the same way that you would peen over a rivet head or something of that nature, just to upset the material enough to create the size diameter that I'm looking for. Here in a minute I will refine this shape a lot more over at the Vise, but what I'm going for here is I'm actually trying to upset it to roughly 3/4 inch, or just a hair under. Once again, keeping in mind, I'm going to be grinding on this a little bit, so it will lose a little bit of dimension and come out to be just about right. So that's that after the first round of shaping there. Forge on that, and it goes across the room in classic style. I figured I'd leave this in, and yes, professional smiths make mistakes too. So in the next little bit here, we're going to go over the Vise. We're going to get it set all the way down in the jaws here, get it good and tightened up, and just continue to refine that domed shape. it's actually very surprising how much of this you can actually get done at the vise itself. You can get quite a bit of work done right at the vise and get it pretty planished up, pretty smooth. In fact, I did not have to do as much grinding as I thought I was going to on this portion here, as I did most of the hammering by hand and was able to accomplish that. So it was a pretty good thing. If you're wondering what that was, I was just getting a drink of water. So, alright. So as you can see, still tapping around on here. Getting it all planished up. Looks good enough to me. I'll go ahead and get it cleaned up just a hair bit more. No big deal. Mainly just being fancy with it. And once again, we will just let this air cool when it's all said and done. And drop it again. Normally I would edit all this stuff out, but I figured, hey, I'd just leave it in there this time around. Makes it a little more real. Now I'm over to my grinder. And I'm going to take off any sharp edge off of the tool itself. And start to clean up the head. Now, a guy had asked me, why didn't I just put the other ball punch in my drill and turn it on the grinder just like that with the simple drill hack or the hillbilly lathe that I showed there the other day. And basically I was letting my dad use my drill. So same thing with today, he needed my drill again, so I was just letting him use my drill. No big deal. It works just as good by hand, it's just a little slower and maybe a little less accurate. But you can still do it and it still comes out fairly clean. The ideal here is not to really push very hard on the belt itself. You want it to just barely contact enough that it just removes any sort of sharps that you may or may not have on the piece. And just kind of get some of that scale and oxide finish off of there. The cleaner and smoother you make this, the better off you'll be in the long run. So just like that, now we'll move it over and we'll go ahead and put a little chamfer, about a 45-degree bevel, on the back end of this thing here. This doesn't have to be a whole bunch. Like I've said in other previous videos or in the other ball punch videos, this just helps center up the blow through the middle of your punch or tooling. So now we'll move up to the 1/4 inch round ball punch. And I took a quick minute before I actually did the grinding here, and I was looking at it, and I actually had forged it down to roughly about 1/8 inch or 3 mil, and so I had quite a bit of grinding to kind of come back up to it. You want to keep this cool, obviously, as you can. Don't let it get too overheated. I don't know how that works with stainless. I have not hardened or tempered any of this, as these are just going to be used to work mild steel. And you'll find out in later videos that that actually has worked pretty darn well for me. And I've been able to skip a whole step of the hardening and tempering. If I can find a way of cutting corners when it comes to tooling, I will. You know, there's certain tools that you can't cut corners with and other tools you can, like drifts. You can cut corners with that. You can use mild steel with drifts. Will they hold up as well? No, they won't. But same thing with this here. These ball punches, they are going to be used probably the least out of most of the pile of my tools. So in that respect, it's okay, perfectly okay to just make them out of a tough steel and then leave them as forged. So now we'll move along here, go on to the next bit, and this is what I've come up with. So you can see that 1/4 inch ball punch or 6 mil ball punch works out pretty well for much smaller rivets. Those are like 1/16 inch rivets or 1/8 inch rivets. So 1.5 mil. And then as you can see, the 5/8 inch ball punch or 15 mil ball punch works perfect. Size is correct. And that's ready to go ahead and use that. And there you have it. So there's the final collection of ball punches to complete the set. Stay tuned in further videos where I will make the other portion of this and actually make this rivet set blog here. Thank you all for watching this video. God bless you all, and we will catch you on the next one.